All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is David Tolkien. I am the Director of Business Development here at Shop-Ware. I'm very excited to present to you today. We've got how cloud-based platforms drive improved customer experience. We've got two great panelists here today. We've got Greg and Andrew from Mechanic Advisor, a Shop-Ware partner, and we have a really great integration. Before we get started, just a couple housekeeping issues. If you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A down below at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to them right away. If you're interested in speaking up, we would love to hear from you. Just use the hand raise button at the bottom of your screen. Just raise your hand and I will unmute you and you can hop in and have a conversation with us. We would highly encourage that, and it's preferred. We definitely want this to be as interactive as possible today. Real quick before we get going, like I said, we've got Gregg Rainville. He's the CRO of Mechanic Advisor, and we've got Andrew Dremak, who's the VP of Customer Retention and Marketing over there. Greg was the first hire over there, which is pretty exciting. So I'm sure he's seen everything that they've done from the very beginning all the way up to the top. And we've got Andrew as well, who's really helping them build out their customer success team and focus on customer experience. And with that, I'm going to really just pass the reins to them and let them take it away, let them introduce themselves and get into the content that we have today. So Greg and Andrew, it's all yours. I'll stop sharing my screen and you can share your deck and get rocking and rolling.
Cool. Andrew, you have the screen up there?
Would you like me to share my
yeah.
screen?
Just make sure we can see it. Yeah.
Thanks for having us, David.
Yeah, David, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, this is definitely, you know, we don't want it to be, you know, just a slide presentation. We do want to keep it an open conversation. So if you guys have questions, feel free to stop us at any time. So then obviously we can answer those. Did you get it up, Andrew?
Issues with the screen, Andrew?
Yeah, no, I'm doing it now. I'm just getting it ready here.
Okay.
Desktop 2. There you guys go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, just put yourself in present mode and you're good to go. Let's go to view. There you go. Present.
All righty.
Just go right to the second slide. But yeah, so I'm Gregg Rainville. I started at Mechanic Advisor in 2012. At that time, we were just selling directory products, kind of like TripAdvisor. Sold that product for about 4 years. Really helped me get a good understanding of the industry and build some relationships with some local shop owners in the Boston area. It was cool to actually go in there and just see what day-to-day looked like. But what I learned the most was just really just seeing what day-to-day looked like and really how these shop owners don't really have a lot of time to focus a lot on effective marketing. So with like a lot of the feedback I got, I was able to bring it to the founders of Mechanic Advisor and actually even bring in shop owners to get their feedback. And we were able to really dial in a customer retention marketing system that works well for shops in 2020, 2021 with texting and a lot of newer features that I think a lot of the CRMs didn't update over the last few years. As we updated that product over the last 3 to 4 years, we were lucky to get Andrew to join our team about 2 years ago, and he's been able to help us with product and obviously building the customer success team. But I'll pass it off to you, Andrew, for your intro and background.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Greg. Yeah, thanks guys for joining us. Yeah, like Greg said, I've been with the team for a little, actually this week, I think it's like my 2-year anniversary. But my experience is a lot of in digital marketing. I worked at an agency when I lived in San Diego. And then I was an implementation strategist for a mobile app at an Indian casino for about 5 years in Southern California. And then I moved to Massachusetts, and one way or the other, I got hooked up with all the guys at Mechanic Advisor. And now, you know, it's a really exciting product, and I've been helping them out, kind of build the product out. And also we're building out our customer success team because we really do a lot of focus on our customer experience and making sure our customers understand our product, because that is kind of a challenge. We'll talk about that more. It's just a lot of shops, this is new for a lot of shops. So they do need some handholding and kind of education in how these platforms work. And we're doing a really good job of that. And it's really an exciting time. I'll move it to the next slide here for you, Greg.
Yep. So just to give you guys a quick background on Mechanic Advisor, I think we kind of have an identity crisis. At least that's what some new customers have told us, because they're like, we always thought you guys were an automotive repair directory. We didn't know you were a software company. We're based in Boston, Massachusetts. And like I mentioned before, we started out as an automotive repair directory. Basically, our CEO, founder, Parker Swift, he graduated college and moved back to the Boston area. Had a lot of problems with his 96 Volvo 850 and trying to get it fixed around Boston. He had some good experiences. He had some bad experiences, and really wanted to find a place where you could talk about that. So obviously the great repair shops would stand out. At the same time, it was when Yelp was taken off, TripAdvisor. So he has a lot of entrepreneurial spirit in him. So he started building out the directory. I actually saw him building out the directory when it started in about 2006, and was like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. Good luck. 4 years later, he hires me as their first sales guy. So again, just going back, I was going out just visiting repair shops, trying to really understand the industry and again where Mechanic Advisor could fit in. But what I found was a lot of shops were just signing up for whatever. Just really, like, again, Mechanic Advisor, our pitch was like, yeah, we'll get you in front of 300,000 potential visitors a month and try to get some new customers through the door. And a lot of shops were like, yeah, I'll try anything. But then once I sat down and started talking to a lot of owners, I realized that they did need some support in marketing, and probably the most support was in customer retention and executing it. So we started building the CRM product. We really liked the idea of telematics. So in 2014, we were like, okay, let's start building a telematics product where a car can communicate to the repair shop and kind of build a CRM system behind that. Naturally, the CRM system kind of took off, and then the telematics product kind of fell flat. We learned a lot during trying to launch our own telematics product, and we're still actually working on it today. But with that being said, a lot of tests, a lot of trialing, we were able to build a really cool CRM system. And then from a lot of our shops, we're actually coming out with a newer CRM product this year, and then we're going to have a telematics product built into it for fleet customers. So we're excited to launch that Q4 of this year. As of today, we have over 1,000, we like to say, happy customers. We really do love our customers here at Mechanic Advisor. The big thing for us, and I think we have an emphasis on people that we hire, and our culture here is all about customer wow experiences, whether it's a shop owner venting to you about their day, their week, or anything that's happening at the shop, or sending out a text blast that turns a slow month into a busy month. We try to create that experience for our shops, and it's definitely starting to have impact and helping create a good name for ourselves amongst the repair community. Go next slide, Andrew. So just to give you some background on our relationship with Shop-Ware. Shop-Ware started around the same time we did. We met Carolyn through some of the shops that we were working with. Her name was mentioned. You Googled her name. She was kind of all over the place as being one of the top shop owners, female shop owners in the United States. So we were lucky enough to work with her a little bit on what we were building. And then she was also showing us what she was building. So we had meetings probably around like 2016, 2017 at that time. And we were able to really kind of build our product from there and learn a lot about RO programs and also what shop owners are looking for data. What was really cool, when we actually launched our beta product in 2017, we actually shared a small booth at SEMA Apex with Shop-Ware and Parts Tech. Parts Tech, they're pretty big now. At that time, they were about the same size we were. But all three companies with big vision in 2017 have really made a name for themselves today, 2021. Same time, 2017, we started building our first API integration. So basically the API integration lets the two platforms talk to each other. So this is the first time I've ever seen something like that get built and got to see live how data goes between two platforms, like a marketing platform and an RO platform. And Shop-Ware really was our first cloud-based RO sync about 4 years ago. So we've learned a lot. We're still working with them to this day on the integration and improving it. Right now, I know we have in the works basically a two-way calendar integration where mechanic advisor appointments are actually going to be able to be pushed to the Shop-Ware calendar, which we're pretty excited about.
Yeah, we were definitely looking forward to that for sure.
Yep. Improve the customer experience. Andrew, you go to the next slide.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. And then David, if you want to go ahead and launch poll 1, just so we know what the shop owners that are on this call, we're just curious if you are using a CRM. Greg and I have actually done some of these in the past, and it's surprising how many shops aren't using a marketing platform right now. So that's the goal of this webinar is really to help educate you on why use cloud-based platforms and what are they and what are APIs, right? Because sometimes this jargon kind of goes over everyone's heads and it's just like buzzwords. So with this slide, I just wanted to help kind of educate like cloud-based platforms. The definition, if you went on Wikipedia, it literally is stored, managed process of a network of remote servers hosted on the internet. So there's no local servers, there's no personal computers. I know there's still some legacy products out there where you have to be in your shop and you can't go access it somewhere else. So everything we're doing now in today's society, whether it's your iPhone, your iPad, whatever, it's cloud-based now. And that's really the way to go. And you don't have to worry where you are. You don't have to worry about where it's housed because it's housed on the cloud. And there's reduced costs. Then there's up to date. The technology could change just like your iPhones, right? You get updates all the time. So yeah, like on this call, there's 3 shops that aren't using a marketing CRM. So that's interesting to know. And I'm sure if we did this webinar in 2 years, it would probably be all 6 of you would be using. So it is kind of like everybody uses an RO now. And now that with the cloud-based ROs like Shop-Ware, those are really kind of king of the market right now because that's where it's going and it makes the most sense. And then our company, we connect with a Shop-Ware, RO Shop-Ware, and we use the API, which is a direct sync. So the analogy to help explain what an API is just think of when you're in a restaurant and there's a waiter and the waiter takes the order from the customer, then they give them the menu, they take the order, then they go back to the kitchen, right? Then the waiter takes the food from the kitchen, brings it, goes back to the customer. So that back and forth, that's just an API connection. So right now we are taking all the data from Shop-Ware and then we're housing that in Mechanic Advisor. And we could actually use that information to communicate with the customers. And the key with it is to be automated as well. So that's kind of what are cloud-based platforms and APIs. And now I'm going to kick it over to Greg, and Greg can actually tell you why we're using those in our space in the auto repair industry.
Yeah, so cloud-based platforms, it was really new to me. I think I was working for a telecom company and they were talking back in 2006, 2007 of taking the actual phone server. I remember it was like this big switch and moving it to the cloud and the internet powering the phone system. And then them telling me about all this cool new technology that comes with it, not having to update servers, stuff like that. And I just kind of didn't believe them. I was just like, I kind of come from the background where it took me 15 minutes to download a song in college to like my huge computer underneath my desk. So I just didn't believe like the power like the internet had to be able to do stuff like this. But now here we are. There's no more T1s. Everyone has Comcast or Verizon. They have all different types of connections, FiOS, that are affordable. So everything's at our fingertips, and it's great to see that repair shops are finally adapting to this newer technology. Having cloud-based platforms, why it's important, again, back to Andrew's point, is you can work from anywhere. You don't need to be near that local server to look at customer data, pull up history, stuff like that. You're in constant contact with your customers. the data is constantly syncing. So we know when customers are due for service, if we're like high priority repairs have been done, if they haven't been done, if the customer should be aware of these things. So we're constantly looking at this data and sharing it with customers. So obviously their cars last a lot longer. And obviously we get customers coming back into your shop and not the customer or your competitor down the street. Some of the things with Shop-Ware that we look at that works really, really well with the integration is, again, where our API connection, it's syncing every 10 minutes. Some of the stuff that we're looking for that's super valuable for the shop is calendar data. So we're looking at that Shop-Ware calendar every 10 minutes for new appointments, deleted appointments, appointments that might have gotten pushed from Wednesday to Thursday. So then Mechanic Advisor can send out that appointment reminder 24 hours before. It's accurate. The shop is aware that, hey, that this customer is coming in. Hey, this customer might, they're going to push out to next week. They're not coming in. So that's very important to have cloud-based platforms talking to each other. So that data is constantly up to date. The other thing that we're looking at with Shop-Ware is obviously invoices constantly with the cloud. So we're looking at tickets. Are they new customers? So if it's a new customer, that they might go on a different journey for follow-up. Repeat customers, that might be a total different journey for follow-up. Again, going back to my point, we're looking at recommended services. Did this customer come in for an oil change? When is that oil change due next time? How many miles do they drive per day? So we can calculate that. Decline reminders are big. So the customer comes into the shop and they need to get their brakes, brake pads, and rotors done like today. They don't get it done. 30 days later, Mechanic Advisor's looking to see if that ticket closed out. If not, we're reminding that customer. Campaign reporting. So with Shop-Ware, we can track the customer journey from start to finish. Okay, the customer received a text. They came in 2 days later. They closed out a ticket a day later for $2,000. Well, let's show what that return on investment looks like. This is all done with the integration. The other thing that we're looking at, again, going back to the calendar, is so when customers do look at your calendar, potentially want to request an appointment, they can look at it in real time. And again, this is all done through two cloud platforms talking to each other.
Yeah, one thing I want to add to that is because there are still a lot of, let's just call them legacy platforms out there that are more server based, and they might tell you that that's more safe, but that's not necessarily true. Cloud-based definitely has the data security now to where you would never have to worry about it. It's either hosted on Amazon or Microsoft Azure. Like your data is safe. But the biggest things here are the syncing every 10 minutes with the invoices. So your customers are getting, if you have new customers or repeat customers, when they come in, they're updating straight from Shop-Ware into our platform. If it's a server based, we'd have to wait till either 2 a.m. or whatever time. Usually it's in the middle of the night. Once a day, we have to, all the data goes up in the server and then it sends it to us once. So once a day we get the data. So it's night and day difference with what we could do with it and how much more dynamic the data is, getting it every 10 minutes, especially even with appointments. Sometimes you have somebody schedule an appointment, an hour later, they reschedule it for another day. If we were on a server based platform, you have to wait a day to get that. And so there is like a lag. And in today's, let's just call it today, it's 2021. There's no need to have these lags. It really should be real time. And that's what cloud-based does. So it's kind of it's kind of a no-brainer, but it's still not totally adopted by everyone. So that's why there is still a lot of education for it and just knowing what's out there.
Yeah, I've had some shops too where it's just not the best customer experience with an appointment reminder going out and it not being accurate for that customer. And then I've also had some shops that, the server went down or something happened to the server and it takes 3 to 4 days to get that server up. That really slows down everything that's going on in the shop. And then obviously all the marketing communication that's going out as well too. So with the cloud-based programs talking to each other, there's definitely huge value in there with keeping up with accurate communication, but also, you have state-of-the-art servers basically sitting in your repair shop, even though it's actually not there, it's in the cloud. So right here, I'll go through basically what like the customer journey looks like with Shop-Ware and Mechanic Advisor communicating to each other, like the perfect scenario. So the customer basically has.
Hey, Greg, really quick,
yeah.
I think we have a question from Jose.
Okay, yeah.
Would you like
to?
Yeah,
go for it. Let me see.
maybe not. I don't know. I saw the little hand raise up.
No, I think you just said hi earlier, maybe. Well,
Um,
anyways, Jose,
David,
if you have a question.
you could start poll 2 as well, David.
All right, sounds good. We'll do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think this is a really interesting question to ask, because I'm not sure, and I'm curious, very curious to see what people's answers are to this. Particularly when it comes to what is the value of customers for a shop, because I think some shops track that. Certainly in the SaaS cloud business that we are all in, those are numbers that we look at on a very regular basis, and numbers that we look for in terms of the health of our company. So we'll see how shops are responding to this as well.
Greg, if you want, you could continue on this slide.
Oh, I see Jose's question too. He wants to see some performance metrics. I'll go over some of that in the last slide.
Okay.
But yeah. But yeah, do we have the poll? Oh, we'll show the poll results at the end.
Yeah, just give it a couple minutes. People are still filling it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just going through the customer journey. So we do have Shop-Ware shops who will actually put our schedule button or even our chat bubble that has a request an appointment request on it. And what will happen is, so how the two platforms will work together is, so someone's on the website, they request, say, an oil change for Friday. What happens is that shop will now get an alert on the Mechanic Advisor dashboard that a customer is requesting an appointment for Friday morning for an oil change for, say, their Audi. The shop also gets an email from Mechanic Advisor with all that data, and then they can put it into the Shop-Ware calendar. Again, we're working on making that seamless with that data going to Shop-Ware through the API. But what happens then is Mechanic Advisor is going to pick up that appointment on the actual calendar. And then 24 hours before on Thursday, we're going to send that appointment reminder to the customer. So we're going to do that through text and email. That customer is going to come in. Most likely, they're going to go through some sort of digital inspection with Shop-Ware when they have that oil change. Again, going back to my example earlier, maybe that customer needs new brake pads and rotors, and they decline that, but they do get the oil change. So then the customer leaves. Mechanic Advisor, once that ticket's paid for, picks up that customer again, merges the appointment data with the actual customer data, and then the journey begins with follow-up on the Mechanic Advisor platform. So what we'll do is we'll look, okay, is this a first-time customer to the shop? Is it a repeat customer for the shop? Based on those parameters, the customer will go on a different journey. If it's a new customer, they get more of a welcome to the shop text. Also gives them the option to opt out of text. If it's a repeat customer, they've been in there before, they've probably already gotten the opt-out text. It's just a standard follow-up. So we'll make sure everything was good with the visit. We really try to make the text seem like it's someone actually texting from their cell phone. So we really try to customize it to who's ever at the shop's voice. Hey, you know, this is Greg from Gregg's Auto Repair, or this is the team from Gregg's Auto Repair. Just following up on your recent visit, how is everything? Everything's good. Or, you know, they might have been like, hey, you know, I didn't really have the best experience. We get in front of it then. 4 days after that, we're then sending the customer a review request. So we do that through text and email. That gives the customer a little bit of time to drive the car, make sure everything's good, make sure they're happy. You're not bombarding that customer with that review request right out the gate, or, you know, 2 days after the visit. We find that two-step process works really well. The customer leaves a Google review, and then what Mechanic Advisor is doing is constantly looking to see over the next 30 days to see if that customer comes in for those brake pads and rotors. If they don't, we're then going to send out the decline reminder to the customer. So we'll send them a whole vehicle profile page that Mechanic Advisor built for that customer that has all their vehicle specs, recommended services, and then decline services. And then that customer can request the appointment, or they can basically postpone the request on their calendar. So they might be waiting for a stimulus check, IRS check for like 2 weeks. So then they can set that date for the next reminder to go out. Then throughout the year, we're always going to be looking at that customer to see, okay, did they come back in? Has 5 months gone by? Have they not come in? We'll check in with them. Since they got an oil change done, we'll start the oil change interval. And most likely in about 5 months, we'll probably send them an oil change reminder to get that customer back in. But basically what we're doing is constantly with the cloud communication is looking at the platform and being like, okay, how are we going to get this customer back in and get in front of them in a timely manner where, again, they're not going to your competitor down the street. And we do track this all for every single customer in the system and create that customer journey.
Right. So now piggybacking off of what Greg kind of just said, so what he did is that's our journey of how we kind of like, I guess we kind of step by step it of like the customer comes in and then we segment them right away, new or repeat. So that is so important. And we find so many shops really just focus on getting new customers in. And then after that, it's just kind of like the Wild West. They hope they come back. They might send them some postcards saying they need an oil change or whatever. But that's where the power of like our platform and getting all the data from Shop-Ware, we know if they had declined services, we could have tailored messages for that. But David, before I go on this, can you show the poll results? Here we go. Do you focus more on customer acquisition? Okay, so this is good. This is good. Half of you do both. 1 is more customer acquisition, and then 3 is customer retention. So the answer should be both. You really should focus on both because we know, just like in our industry, we know what it costs to acquire a customer, right? That's customer acquisition cost. If you have that customer coming in repeat times, then you don't have to worry so much about always acquiring new customers. You always want new customers, but if you get if your customer retention and you keep building your base, that's how you're going to grow. That's how you're going to see sales go through the roof. Lifetime value of a new customer. So most of you have over 5,000. So that's telling me you have a lot of, that's good. That's really good, right?
That's pretty much what we see. But what's nice is when we do our initial sync with your shop management system, we look at these numbers and we share them with you. I synced up a shop the other day that for the year, they had, what did they have? They had about 200 new customers and then only like 120 repeat customers. So that's bad. So they definitely do not have a customer retention strategy in place. If they do, it's definitely not working. You kind of want to see that flip because you have the 80-20 rule. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your repeat customers.
Yeah, and as that base grows, then your sales are just going to keep growing. And that really is key. I also see the third question here: how much does your shop acquire? Under 500 is good. I'd say for your repair shops, probably the 100-200 range is, from what I hear, is quite common depending on what you're doing marketing wise. But also, I see one shop said no idea. Like, you should have an idea because this is very important. If you really want your shop to go to that next level, you need to know what you're doing to retain your customers or to get new customers in. And then what are you doing to retain them? Like you really should have a plan. And that's where a platform like ours really helps with that because we automate a lot of things. So on the slide I'm presenting here, at the bottom, I say automate the process when you can. So everything Greg said, we would set that up on onboarding and we have all the criteria and we could have the different segmentations as needed. And then those customers, then they come in, we get their data and then we segment them out and then they're automatically put in those buckets. And then they start that journey of those messages. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but you know what's going on behind the scenes. And it really makes things easier for you in the shop. Another thing is common sense type stuff. You don't want to be spammy. We send a lot of text messages, but we really tell our customers you only want to send text if it's relevant. If you're going to do an offer, if you have a slow day and you're trying to get more cars in to fill your bays, it's okay to do that every now and then, but you don't want to send out a special offer to your customers every 2 weeks. That's just a poor experience. So you really want to have relevant messaging. You don't want to be spammy. And we always
just to add to that, you can train your customers to be ready for the next coupon. So if you're sending out specials every 3 to 4 weeks through text, email, you're not going to get great customers coming in. They'll just kind of be the coupon cutter customers that are always looking for the next discount. So we try to coach our shops to mix those in when you really need them. But a lot of like non-coupon campaigns that we do are like, hey, you know, it's summertime's around the corner. Things are starting to heat up. Come in, let's inspect your AC or get your car ready for the summer. Stuff like that. Messaging like that's going to get a lot better customers through the door and a lot better tickets, and then obviously get you basically into the customer's vehicle to do the digital inspection and increase your average repair order.
Yeah. We've also found like the personalization of the messages. So if it seems like it's not a text blast, it seems like it's a one-off text. So a lot of them will be like, hey, Greg, how you doing? This is Andrew at ABC Automotive. Just checking in to see if you're ready to bring your car in for regular maintenance. Let us know if you need anything, you know, click this link to schedule your appointment. A lot of things like that, especially with text, we know the open rates are 90% or higher with text, whether it's relevant or not to them is whether they'll respond. So that's really key, is if you're going to message and, you know, hit somebody up in their busy day, you just want it to be relevant. And we've seen so many people that just blast out everything, and then they wonder why their email open rate is so low, or their text response rate, or they have so many people unsubscribing, and it's just because of relevancy. So that's something to really keep in mind.
Yep. And then I'll add to that, when we do texting marketing, we're texting from an actual shop number, or we're texting from a local number. So it's not like a 1-800 number. It's not one of those weird 5-digit dash codes. And that really goes a long way for it feeling local, and it's the shop's voice. It's not a spammy text message.
Yeah, they could actually respond right back, and then the shop could go back and forth with them, which is nice. Yep. And I don't know if you're going to talk about it on the next slide, but we also have a web chat widget we call, where somebody could go onto your website. Let's say they're looking to book an appointment, or they just have a question. They can message you a question, and in real time, that message goes into the Mechanic Advisor platform, which it kind of converts into a text message, because we ask for the phone number of the customer, and then the conversation continues via text message, and then you're texting with the customer, which is a very good experience. All right. So I know you're asking for results. Here's the results page for you.
Yeah, so this is kind of high level results that we see. This is a mutual customer of ours, Shop-Ware and Mechanic Advisor. What you could see right over here to the chart to the left is you can see what we're tracking for sales coming in, and then our mix of emails going out, text messages going out, and then we do direct mail as well. So we do like a lot of like IRS checks. We even have stimulus checks that we built. But you're going to see text message is going to be the clear winner there for getting customers in. And going back to Andrew's point earlier, text has a 98% open rate. And then some of the stuff they're doing today with text regulation that we're actually working on right now, text is going to have a 100% open rate in a month or two, just with some of the vetting that they're doing with some of these numbers that are actually texting. So text is really going to be your clear winner for reaching out to customers and getting in front of them and getting them back in. What we do with Shop-Ware as well too is, again, we track when the customer opens up the text. If they come in within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll take credit for it, but you can go down that list of customers, see the actual Shop-Ware ticket in Mechanic Advisor, and you can be like, okay, this is a Mechanic Advisor customer. This is my next door neighbor. I knew he was going to come in and spend $2,000 3 months ago. Let's take that away from Mechanic Advisor. So we really try to be accurate with the reporting. And again, the cloud software allows us to do that with our integration. But we also give you the freedom to be like, okay, this is a Mechanic Advisor customer. This isn't a Mechanic Advisor customer. Top right, the graph there will show you just from one text blast what we did for this shop. We sent out about 1,000 texts, and then we tracked about $42,000 coming in. Again, do I think Mechanic Advisor brought in $42,000? Probably not. But if you go down there and say we brought in half of that, I think we're doing a really good job on our end. I did see a question in the Q&A from Jose about healthy unsubscribe percentage. Healthy unsubscribe percentage, there's 1% from this campaign, so it's about 11%. Typically what we do, our first text campaign is introducing the number and the fact that you guys are texting for follow-ups and specials to your whole entire customer base. And then we usually see about 8 to 12% opt-out rate, depending on how many texts we send out. But what's nice is once that's done, you're now can get in front of these customers whenever you want with text and get them through your door.
You're talking about the initial blast, right? Like when you say, hey, we're going to be texting you, you get 8% that are saying, all right, I'm not interested in this at all. And then after that, when you send an email, just like, let's say a promotion, what's the opt-out rate look like after that?
So if you look in the top right, here's one we did where we sent out 1,000 and there's 1%.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're even finding, David, too, a lot of it is kind of the older demographic kind of has this hesitancy of allowing texts. So depending on the demographic of your shop, if you have a heavy over the age of 60, there's just a hesitancy of them getting text messages. So when they get that first text, a lot of them might opt out, but then they come into the shop and the shop will educate them of, oh, well, we're just sending you reminders of when you should bring in the car, or we'll give you a link. Like we send out a link that is like a website of the actual vehicle page, so they could have the history of everything they've ever done on their car. Like a lot of that is very important. So when we educate them, a lot of them like, oh, well, I didn't mean to unsubscribe. Can you add me back? So does happen.
We try to create a really good experience on text. Over the last 4 years, again, like we've learned and put a lot of rules in the background so we don't over text customers. Our whole entire customer success team is trained on proper texting. So I had a shop, sometimes you do one text blast and all of a sudden the shop gets $40,000 worth of work come in for a month. A week later, things slow down again. Greg, can I do a text blast again? I'm like, absolutely not. You're gonna get a huge unsubscribe rate if you just keep on texting your customers over and over again. So we do have rules in place in the background so we're not over texting. And then we do try to do a lot of coaching on the do's and don'ts of texting for our customers as well. And then just to let you guys know with Google reviews, with that two-step process I talked about earlier on the customer journey, it works very, very well for our Shop-Ware shops. On average, they're getting anywhere from 15 to 20 Google reviews. I think this shop might be doing close to 30 a month. It's obviously based on car count, but I think a lot of shops that I talk to tell me their customers kind of appreciate it, and they've noticed it of how Mechanic Advisor's approach is, okay, let's check in with them, make sure everything's good, and then a few days later, then ask for the Google review. So it's not too pushy asking for the Google review, which seems to work pretty well.
Some places will ask for Google review immediately after service is rendered. And we know in our industry, somebody's not going to know if they want to drive their car around a little bit, or they want to, give it a week. And then that's why we have a little bit of a delay, and it really does work well for us.
Yeah. And I've had shops that are super aggressive on Google reviews. They're like, I want to ask right away. And we set that up for that shop. But best practices, again, us trying to coach our shops on what we've learned over the last 4 years, the two-step approach works really, really well.
Yeah. And if somebody's doing cartwheels, they're so happy as they, are exiting your shop, you could send a one-off request for them through our platform.
Yes, we have the canned Google review response, and it's not just Google. We can point to Facebook, we can point to Yelp, but Google today seems to be really where you want to be, just because Google search engine. If you're searching for a local shop in the area, repair shop near me, BMW mechanic, that first half page of Google is business listings. So you want to stand out there with a lot of reviews, amongst the competition, and obviously the dealerships to win that customer.
Yeah. Carlos, I see your question there. I just wanted to add one thing about just clarifying, because Greg kind of mentioned, do I really think $42,000 in sales came in? And this is the hardest thing to track, right? Every platform you talk to, every CRM platform is going to try to take credit for everything. That's not what we want to do. We use a true attribution model. So what we do is first of all, any invoice that we have and we attribute it to a campaign, the shop could go in and either confirm it, or they could take it out and say, oh no, this is my brother. He lives next door to me. He was coming in no matter what. He might've got one of your texts, but that doesn't count, and you could unattribute it to a campaign. But what we do is, like, we really believe in the marketing mix. So you send a text, you could send an email. We do direct mailers. All those different things can go to the customer, right? But the last one to go to them, then that's what the attribution goes to. We don't attribute it to 3 different campaigns. So these sales are truly attributed to this campaign. They might have actually gotten a text first, then an email, or sorry, they might have gotten a mailer, they might have got an email, then they got a text, but this text was the last one. So that's why we attribute it to it. So that's how that works. But that way we're not double or triple dipping and putting these invoices on all these different campaigns and blowing and inflating your numbers. We really want it to be accurate, and we give you the ability to go in and say, nope, that one shouldn't count or not. And really, it really is a guideline, because it is like with any purchase decision, like if I go on the internet and see something, and then I hear it on the radio, then I see it on TV, and then maybe I go to Amazon and make the purchase. Who's getting credit for it? It's hard to do it, right? It's a mix. So just keep that in mind when you do see some of these numbers.
Yep. And then Carlos was asking about loyalty program to retain existing customers. We do not have like an actual loyalty program. It is something that is on our roadmap for the future. Customers that ask for it though, we have advanced filtering. So we can basically get your top 5% of customers or your top 10 customers every month based on filters. And then typically what we do is we send them like a rebate check. So a check for $24 that they can use the next 90 days to come in. And I think what we've built here is just like a very, very flexible program that with filtering that allows us to go into Shop-Ware, get that data, and then filter out those customers, your top customers, and then build some sort of special program for them. Exactly. I've had shops ask for some of the wildest things, use the wildest features. Whatever they want to do, we'll do our best to build it out for them. But we would like to get some sort of point system. Yeah. We had our postcard guy, Postcard Lou, we call him, who does all of our direct mail. He did like an oil change club card where it's just old school punch out. You know, it's almost like going to the deli. You get buy 4 sandwiches, get 5th one free. I think he does like 3 for 4, 3 oil changes, 4th one free punch outs that work pretty good. Shops like it. It's old school, but it works.
Yeah. We don't have an out of the box loyalty. And one of the reasons is, and I know, Greg, it's on our roadmap, but there are so many different loyalty programs already out there. Or if we create, like, there's so many different ways to do it. So we're kind of thinking about that, but we do have customers that kind of create their own loyalty program with us. Like Greg said, they come in and they spend X amount either on a per visit or a per year basis. And then they would be segmented into a customer segmentation, which we have a different customer journey for them with different messaging, different offers. And that's kind of the loyalty program. So we kind of have something like that is very customizable to any shop.
And then Jose, can you filter customers who've not visited in a specific amount of time? I was just going over this with a shop literally 20 minutes ago. We call lost customer campaigns. So we can filter customers that haven't been in a year, 2 years, 3 years, and do specific marketing. Going back to the check idea, we do win back checks to get them through the door. That works really well. And the other thing too, what we do for shops is we'll set that up where every day we're looking for customers that haven't been in a year, and then we send them out a piece of mail, or we send them out a text, or obviously send them out an email. That works really well.
I know Greg uses what he calls the Hail Mary campaign for a lot of our repeat customers. What is it, after 360 days of no
360.
visit?
So you're nearing a year. I call it the Hail Mary. Sometimes I tell shops, I was like, now this is probably where you might want to use a discount to get them back in, to wave that carrot. But again, I try to filter customers who actually spend money. So customers on average who spend over $50, $100, or some of these high-end European shops, customers that spend over $300, $400 to again, get those customers that spend money back in the door, get your lifetime value up, going back to what David was talking about earlier.
And if they haven't visited in a year plus, we do find email and mailers work better than text messages. Text messages tend to kind of be out of the blue and kind of spammy if you're sending them and you haven't seen them in a year. So we do certain email campaigns with offers and then the mailers.
Yeah, I've been surprised, living in this digital age with cloud platforms, texting, how well some of our mail campaigns actually work for a lot of our shops and the positive feedback we get. The IRS checks and the stimulus checks we created work very, very well, and we get a lot of praise from our shops with how we do.
You know, Greg, it's funny. I'm a big fan of direct mail.
You are okay.
Yeah, I really am, and I think that I think it's underrated, and I think what people sort of fail to realize is that, and I don't know who I was talking to the other day. I think it might have been a different webinar, but someone was saying that they will get customers that will come in and show them a postcard that they got, and the shop will be like, oh yeah, well, that was last year's Christmas special. Maybe like, yeah, well, it's been on my fridge for the last 8 months, right. And and they use it, or they don't, or some shops just like, it's multiple touches, right? It's if I don't know that your shop exists, like maybe I saw a Facebook ad, or maybe I saw a Google review, and then I got a postcard from you, and then I got a recommendation from a friend, and I said, oh, I'll come in. And so, I think it's obviously it's hard for attribution in your shop. You want to make sure your postcards are registering, but certainly for I think both for acquisition and certainly for retention is very important. With the data that's out there, you guys could go in and say, look, these 5 zip codes produce your highest average repair order for your customers, and then you can buy those postal mailing lists and go and market to them. And now you're targeting households that are exactly drive the vehicles that you want. I mean, the amount of data that you can get now, if you just want to target people that have BMWs that are 4 years old, you can go buy that list, and so I think the ability to highly target the customers that you're going for actually doesn't really get that much better than direct mail, because you can literally say, this is exactly who I want to target.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough being a digital company and and leaning on direct mail, but if it works and it gets people through the door, let's do it.
Totally.
Yeah, no, it's one of the tools in the toolbox, like we say, right? It's all just like Facebook ads, it could be very specialized in work, but they don't have the stickiness like a mailer does. And you're dead on, David. Like we've heard stories of people having things on their fridge for over a year, and then they bring it in, they bring in the IRS check and say, oh, I know, did it expire or whatever, but they hold on to it and they know to it, and it's really good. We do a lot of welcome letters, right? For after a new customer first visit, and those get a lot of good responses as well too.
Yeah. And the customer that doesn't, we all have customers that don't really like looking at going into dashboards and digging through some of this data. They like having a stack of postcards next to them. That's kind of like their dashboard sometimes. It's being like, I just sent out this IRS check and I have 50 of them right here. 50 customers came in with it. This worked. We do try to get our customers to dig into the analytics, but again, the postcards do have a good effect on knowing how they work because it is tangible.
100%.
Yep. So here are some of the takeaways. Obviously, with the importance of 2 cloud programs talking to each other, I think the big one is obviously the constant communication. So just going back to what we were talking about with the Shop-Ware Mechanic Advisor integration, every 10 minutes, looking for that data. Did that customer come in for that declined service? What's that calendar look like? Just to make sure that the marketing communication is going out and it's spot on. So again, that brings the second point, data accuracy.
Yeah.
And then Andrew did a good job just explaining the advantages and benefits of cloud. The big thing is just flexibility. Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, they're always constantly updating their technology in the background. That's not coming out of your pocket. It's always the most up-to-date cloud-based program. And again, you're not investing in some of these servers, replacing servers, ripping and replacing, updating software, stuff like that.
We've had shop owners say they love it once they switched to cloud-based because they could go on vacation and just pull up their laptop on a beach and sip a margarita and see what's going on, right? Just like if they were in the shop. Then we talked to some shop owners that are like, oh, I can't leave because they could only see their numbers when they're in their shop because that's where their server is. So it's just it's definitely a change. And then also know that the flexibility is really, so let's say Shop-Ware starts working with their shops and they realize we want to house everybody's birthday, right, of our customers. Shop-Ware has a field for birthday. They tell us that. We could start then looking for that birthday field, pull in all the birthdays of the customers from the shop that Shop-Ware sends to us, and then we could start campaigns of mailers and texts or whatever, wishing them a happy birthday with a birthday offer. Like whatever Shop-Ware data they get, they just can let us know, and then we create a connection for it. It's really quite simple, and that's the beauty of it too, because we always want to be growing and having new ideas and trying new things. So, and we talk to shop owners all the time. If they have an idea, they let us know. And that's why it's working with companies like Shop-Ware are really good, because we know that they kind of have that same mentality and they're always innovating as well.
Yeah. Like I was talking to our CEO earlier today, mentioning us doing this webinar with Shop-Ware. And he was just telling me, he's like, David gets it. He goes, it's kind of fun having these technology talks and stuff we can do with the integration and just like it becomes an actual reality. It's not something where it's like we have to rip apart Mechanic Advisor, rip apart Shop-Ware to make things happen. They make an update, they let us know that the update's there, and then boom, it happens. So a lot of flexibility there and cool updated features.
It is nice when things work together.
Yeah. And then I think just question and answers. We're winding down now.
I see one of the questions that, Jose, can you track customer conversion rates?
Yeah, so with the new dashboard that we're coming out with, we're going to have a lot of those metrics on the actual dashboard when you log in. So you can actually see, okay, these are how many new customers came in. This is the percentage that actually came back. We can build that report for you, but right now it's not actually on the main dashboard. We basically built a whole wish list of what customers wanted to see. And that's how we kind of do things at Mechanic Advisor. And with the new dashboard that we're releasing, it's going to have like your top 10 vehicles that you work on. So you guys can basically be up to date on auto parts, filters, stuff like that at the shop. We're going to have your top 10 customers. There's just a lot of valuable data that we're learning that's valuable to the shop to have at their fingertips that we'll have there. But if you ever needed any type of report like that, we can basically process it and spit it out to you within minutes if you just ask our team.
Yeah, and we do a good job currently of our current dashboard too of showing this is how many customers have visited in the last 12 months. And those are called, and then how many are brand new.
Yep.
How many are like older customers that have been into your shop but have not been here 12 months more. And that's what Greg says a lot of times when we bring a new customer on. That's the first conversation we have is like, listen, you have 4,000 customers in your database, but you only have 350 that have been in the last year. Like what happened to those other ones? And that's what we really make a plan for.
Awesome.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions? Nope.
Jose asked if there's any cost that's incurred for asking for specific reports to be generated.
No. Nope.
As long as we could do it.
Yeah, no, we have a live chat on the dashboard. And if you go and look at Mechanic Advisor's reviews, you'll just see just our customer support and how responsive we are, how customers love it.
Here's another one. Is a mustache like yours, Andrew, included with subscription?
Who asked that one, David?
That was just me.
It's real too.
Nice. It's a sign of success. All right. Well, I don't currently see anything right now. If you would like to set up a demo with Mechanic Advisor, please just put in the chat, just say me, and we'll make sure that they are able to reach out to you and get you set up with a demo. So you can just respond in the chat if you'd like to have them reach out and speak to you. I really appreciate your time today, guys. This was awesome. I think that, for automotive, it's a slow process to get everything into the cloud, but I think the efficiencies and the abilities that come with putting your data out there and available and just having instantaneous access to it. I mean, not to mention when you start thinking about opening up a second shop, if you've got an on-prem system and your data is housed in each one of your shops and one customer goes from one shop to the other and you literally have to pick up the phone and give that shop a call and say, hey, we've got Bob in here. He says he was in there last week. What'd you guys do? Et cetera, et cetera. I mean, can be a complete hassle. So having it out there is super important. Other than that, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. This will be available on our YouTube channel, and I will send you guys a copy as well. And we'll be posting it on social for anybody that wants to take another look at that. But with that, I think we'll sign off, and everybody have a good rest of the day.
Cool.
Great. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.